Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to record this video. I wasn't even planning on recording this, but then I figured, hey, why not record something from start to finish, and you guys can obviously benefit from it, and I'll throw it out there for you guys. So basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is something related to my databases and SQL video tutorial course. So if you're interested in that course, right now it's sort of closed. I've got the doors closed and we've got some students in there, sort of the beta testing students, if you will. And inside of this course I've created an assignment, and the assignment I've created is for, it relates to a scenario that I've sort of created where you create a bunch of tables that pertain to a pizza restaurant. So you got a pizza joint, and this, well, let me just show you the tables I've created within it. So there's a bunch of different tables. There's the customer table, orders table, pizza table, and then order details and customer order. So if you aren't already familiar with databases in SQL, then this might be a whole bunch of mean a whole bunch of nothing to you, so that's all right. But basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating the backbone, the way that we can store information inside of this particular pizza joint. We want to store the information in such a way that we keep track of the orders, keep track of the customers, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be creating, I need to be able to populate some data into this table, or into these tables, I should say, in such a way that it sort of would mimic reality. Because the point of this assignment that I'm creating, which is separate to this video, the point of the assignment that I'm creating is so that they can have this data, work with this data, and I've got a bunch of questions for them to answer with respect to creating scripts, creating queries that will give them information. So in other words, question number one, the owner of the pizza shop needs a breakdown of their monthly revenues. Please write a script that will break down the amount of money made from pizza sales by month. So they'll need to write a SQL script, a SQL query that will be able to give them that information. But before they can actually write the query and use it, there needs to be data in the database. So instead of me going out and sort of creating data and inserting it myself sort of manually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to more or less automate the process. And that's the point of this video. I'm going to create a Java program that will sort of randomly generate some more or less realistic, at least as realistic as possible, sales figures. So we're going to have real customers being created, and real customers being reused, and so on and so forth, and they're going to come in and order pizza randomly. So I'm going to have some fun here and just create this Java app. And like I said, I wasn't planning on creating this video, but well, like I said, this might be of use to someone, so might as well just record myself doing this. So this video is going to be fairly informal. I'm sure I'm going to make plenty of mistakes. I'm going to say plenty of ums and ahs and and I'm going to think a lot. And so, well, you're just going to have to, if you're not familiar or if you're not comfortable with that kind of video, then you're probably not going to like this one. But if you want to see how a real programmer, who's got 5-10 years of experience in the bag, and see them and how their mind works going through this kind of, solving this kind of problem, then this is definitely the video for you. So let's get started. Okay, so what I'm basically going to do here is just create a brand new project, just because, well, at least I think I'm going to be doing it this way. I'm going to create a brand new project, and I'm just going to make it a plain old Java project. So I'm not going to do anything too crazy here. I'm just going to call it, I don't know, DB, and let's see, DB, what would be a good name? DB assignment 2. Let's just do that. Call it DB assignment 2. This kind of project is associated with the Java. No, I don't want to go to the Java perspective. I like the Spring perspective up here. And okay, so we got the start of the assignment, or at least the start of the project created. So I'm going to create a new class, and I'm really just going to I'm not going to follow too many formal rules and whatnot in terms of structuring this application appropriately, just because I know it's going to be a one-time use and throw away, so I don't necessarily need to follow all of the conventions and stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a class right on the default path, which is obviously not recommended, or rather the default package. So let me create a class called Pizza Shop App. Why not? So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to create this just as a, I'm not going to create a public static void main method. I'm just going to create a test method, public class, and I'll call it create data or something. Create my test class. Sorry, not public class. What am I doing? Public void create data. And import, let's see, hover over this and see if we can import it properly, the package. So I'm going to add JUnit4 to my build path, like so. With a click of a button, we are good to go. So now I have the foundation of a sort of executable class, if you will. So like I said, inside of this this method, this is going to be the main method for my creation of this randomly generated data. What I need this to do is a few things. I need it to, one, create customers or reuse existing customers. Two, I need to choose a customer to use, I guess. Three, I need to create an order for that customer. And by creating an order, I guess I need to say, I need to choose how many pizzas to order, choose which pizzas to order, or I should say to order is fine. And let's see, I also need to say, choose which date to order said pizzas. I should say pizzas in brackets, because potentially the customer could maybe just order one pizza. And let's see, let me go back to my script here and see. So orders, customer order, pizza, type, and price. Okay, so we're really just keeping track of a very bare minimum thing, a number of things. We're keeping track of customer's name and phone number. We're keeping track of the time in which they ordered or placed their order. We're keeping track of the types of pizza. So maybe I can create a few types of pizza as well as part of this script. Sure, why not? And then give them a price and so on and so forth. So in any case, I think that more or less should handle what we need here. So before we do that, the first thing I guess we should do is step 0 would be populate the sort of constants, if you will. So the types of pizza, I guess, is the only constants that we need to have here. So let's do it this way. To populate the types of pizza, I'm just going to go to a pizza joint, a real pizza joint. Let's say in Canada, where I live, Pizza is one of the places that you can go to get pizza. It's like a Domino's pizza. It's Canada's equivalent to Domino's pizza. So let's just take a look at what this company has in terms of their types of pizzas. So let's say order up, view our menu. And we can just sort of steal some of their types of pizzas. So let's see here. Feel like pizza. So we'll just do some of the old school. So you see I have gourmet, international. We'll just stick with the old school because there's a good list of them here. So the first one we'll start with is buffalo chicken. So let's create a public, or rather a private, we'll just call it a void, generate pizzas method. And inside of here, we can, create sort of our pizzas. So I want to keep track of all this inside of a script that we're going to create. So let's call it a string, and we will call it or rather we'll make it a string buffer, because we're going to be constantly appending to this particular SQL script, we'll call it. So, the first thing we'll do for our SQL script is we'll .append. Let's see here. We've already got this stuff happening. So I'm already going to have this as part of the script that I'm going to be giving to my students inside of the course. So this is all going to be populated. It's going to have the tables, the appropriate tables and whatnot created. Then there's this stuff, which is the actual insertion of the data. Now, I'd done this manually before, and now I don't want to do this manually anymore. This is the data that I want to be creating, okay? So essentially, the part that I'm looking at here is creating the pizzas. So this is the section where I actually create the pizzas. So I'm just going to kind of take one of these, copy it, and paste it into here as a sample. So sample insertion will look like so. So I can see exactly what it is that I want to put inside of my SQL script here. So I want to say append, and I want to say insert into pizza values, and then I need to give it some IDs. So since I've created this table without using auto increment as an actual field. Actually, maybe I will use auto increment. Let me change the structures here. So we'll say customer ID primary key auto increment. Actually, let me do that first. Auto increment, then primary key. Orders auto increment. Customer order. That's a join table, so I want to auto increment there. Pizza, and this is a join table as well, so I don't want to auto increment there. Okay, so let me grab this, and I will just run it inside of my whatchamacallit here, my SQL environment here, so I can actually see that it runs properly, and it does, so that's great. Okie dokie. So now I can sort of ignore the primary key here. That's just it was being manually generated, and that's actually kind of annoying. So since I took that away, I will need to specify the tables, which is going to be, what is it? Pizza type is what I used. Pizza type, yep. Underscore type, and price. Price. Okay, so that's a sample of what it should look like. So I'm going to say insert into pizza, and I'm going to copy what I just did up here. Boom. And now I can actually generate the actual data itself. So let me. Well, I'm just gonna actually create this as just create this manually, right? So I'm going to look at the pizzas in here. So I'm going to take a buffalo chicken pizza. So that's going to be the type of buffalo chicken, and the price. How much do they charge for it? We'll go off the medium list. So we'll do $12.99. So we'll say $12.99, and fantastic. Then we have Chipotle chicken, or Chipotle, however you want to pronounce it. And that they charge $11.49. And chicken bruschetta, $12.99 for that one. $12.99. Chipotle steak, that's $11.49. Oh man, this is making me want pizza now. It's getting close to lunchtime for me. Let's do Canadian, eh? I love it. I love that they like to play with our Canadian lingo. And that is $12.99. Classic super, that sounds good. Whoops. That is $10.99. And let's do, well, we can't forget the veggies. Let's do garden veggie, which is $10.99. Garden veggie, just realized I forgot my quote here, and that's also $10.99. Okay, so we've got a good assortment of pizzas. Actually, this is one of my personal favorites, the spicy barbecue chicken. Maybe we'll use that one too, just because I love it. Again, I'm wanting to order pizza now. I need to fight that urge. Let's see, spicy barbecue chicken, $12.99. Okay, so now we have some actual, real data here. This is real data that I just pulled from an actual pizza joint. So that will create the script. Now I also need to remember to put in my semicolons at the end of each of these lines, because that's part of the MySQL, what's it called? Script syntax. There we go. Okay, continuing on. Let's now go to, that was step 0 we did, so now let's go to step 1, which is creating customers or choosing to reuse customers. So let's do another private method. But this time it's going to return a customer type, because we want to actually, choose whether or not we want to either create a customer or reuse one. So we'll say private customer, and then we will say choose customer. I guess we're kind of combining steps 1 and 2 together, where we're creating customers or choosing to reuse an existing customer and actually returning that customer. Okie dokie, let's do that. But obviously customer is not a class that exists, so I'm going to hover over it and create that class. And again, I'm not following good convention here. I'm just putting it in a default package. But in any case, I'll say finish, and that'll create the customer class. And then inside of this, I'm going to take care of keeping track of a few things. Let's keep track of, well, let's take a look at what we need to keep track of. The name and the phone number. Those are the two things that we care about. So the name and the phone number. We will generate the getters and setters. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. And that can be our customer class for now. But we should also keep a list of customers that we're dealing with, because remember, we could possibly choose to reuse existing customers. So let's keep a private list of customers, and we will populate that list in the event whenever we choose to create a new customer. We'll put it in that list, and if we choose to reuse a customer, we will randomly select one from that list. Okie dokie. So, choose customer. What can we do? So, first of all, we need to make the decision of, is this going to be a brand new customer, or is this going to be an existing customer? So, I mean, then this sort of begs the question of what is the typical scenario for a pizza or a restaurant in general? You know, what is the percentage of customers that are new versus returning? I haven't a clue. So let's assume that we will do a 75-25. That sounds like a reasonable spread. So 75% of customers will be returning. 25% of customers will be new. Okay, so that's the spread that I'm using here. So in order to do this, to actually figure out, randomly what are we going to choose here, the 75% or the 25%, we need to actually generate numbers, random numbers. So let's do a private, let's see, this should return probably a double is what we'll do. No, you know what, let's make it an int to make it easy. Private int, generate number from 1 to 100. And okay, so we're going to use the random class, random, which is part of the Java util package. And we're going to say random dot, what do we say, next int or something? Yeah, returns the next sort of integer. Let's use this one where we can actually specify the range. So it returns a random number uniformly distributed int value between 0 and the specified value. So 0 is inclusive, which means it could be 0, and the specified value, which is the n that we pass in here, will be the exclusive value. So if we say generate next int and I say 10, or rather, sorry, let's say 100, what it's going to do is this is going to generate a number between 0 and 99, because remember, 0 is inclusive and the number that we specify is exclusive. So in order to generate a number between 1 and 100, we need to say plus 1. That way we will always have, the minimum number we can have is, well, this will return a 0, and then we'll automatically add a 1 to it, which will mean that the lowest number we can get is a number 1. And then the highest number we can get here will be exclusive of this, so it'll be 99, and then we can add a 1 to it, which will make it 100. So that will be our number between 1 and 100. So now what we can do here is we can say generate number from 1 to 100, and we can say if this number is, let's say, greater than 25, so that means it's 26 to 100, that means that we're falling into this category, right? Greater than 25 means we've hit the 75% of the time. So this will be, using an existing customer, right? Because that'll be a returning customer. Otherwise, we will be using a new customer, right? Cool. So let's say generate new customer will be our class that will, or method that we'll create. And this one will return a customer, and it will say customer equals new customer dot, oh boy, set name and set phone number. I didn't think of this. See, this is why it's a beautiful thing when you run into a situation where I'm just sort of doing this off the cuff. So how complex do I want this to actually be? Oh boy. Because I can't randomly, I'm going to have to randomly generate names or something here. Okie dokie. So, how can we do this? I mean, I can pull from I can go on the internet and get a list of names. And just pull from that list of names. But how could I do it that way then? Well, I can populate a list, which will be quite annoying, but that might be the only way that I can do it. It's either that or I could populate the names into a file, and I could read the file line by line and insert it into a list, but then there's a lot of file and lookup stuff there. Let me see. Let me go on the internet and get the list of, let's say, North American names. List of biblical place, baby names and meanings. Well, a baby name is the same as a regular name, I would assume. But, yeah, see, this doesn't actually provide the full name. So I'm going to have to say list of North American first names. Maybe first and last names. I wonder if I can get... That's just the most common surnames. That's not going to be what I want. Top female, most common first male names. Here we go. Most common first names and last names. So here we have female names, baby names, ancestry. Okay, well, let's see here. So these are all the last names. Oh boy, how can we do this? Because this is just a gigantic list. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Let me just do this. Let me take this sample of names, and I'm going to show you a trick I use. I'm going to go into my notepad, and let's see if this works. I'm going to create a script, or rather a macro that will sort of clean this up for me. So I'm going to hit the record button on my Notepad++. I'm going to hit Control, and I'm going to hit the right key, because that'll skip over the first sort of field. Then I'm going to hit Shift and End to select the whole rest of the row. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to hit the backspace key. I'm going to hit the down and the home button, and then hit stop. So hopefully, if I did that correctly, that macro that I just recorded will successfully clean up everything for all these lines. So let me hit play. And as I hit play, you see that it's kind of deleting all the data appropriately. So I'm going to do this a bunch of times, and once I feel like I'm confident that this is going to work, I'm just going to hit the run macro multiple times and say run to the end of the file. Boom, there you go. So now it's cleaned up that whole list. So now I just have a bunch of last names. And I'm going to do one more thing. If I want to turn this into something that Java can use, I need to do this. So I need to do a private void create names method, and this will store a list, private list of strings, and we'll just call this names. So create names, and what I'm going to say is, well, I need to actually instantiate this list, so I'll say equals new array list of string, and import my array list. Okay, so now I can go about actually creating the names. So what I can do is actually populate that list of names. Now, I think I'm going to have to do a few things here. I'm going to have a list of first names and last names. I think that's how I'm going to have to do it. And ignore the names. Just get rid of that. We can concatenate a first name and a last name together as we iterate through these arrays. At least that's how I picture it in my mind right now as it works in my mind. So when we create a name, we need to go through our list. So we need to actually populate the list of first names. So we'll say first names dot add, and then we're going to have to input, whoops, that's not what I want to do. We're going to have to actually input the name inside of that sort of template. So this is going to be our sort of template. So if you look, everything, like if you have a name in here, if you have Smith, and then we have, or I guess we're doing last names because that's what I just looked at. I was looking at surnames. So we're going to have Smith, and we're going to have, I don't know, Johnson or something. So if you look, everything here between the two of these is going to be identical. So everything before the name is going to be identical, and everything after the name is going to be identical. So we can use this to our advantage, and I'm going to copy everything before the last name, go back to my list, record another macro, hit paste, hit the end key, and type in the end part that's going to be identical for every entry, hit the down arrow, the home key, and stop. So now if I play it again, you see it's going to surround all of the names with the appropriate Java syntax. So I'm going to run this to the end of the file. Boom. So there we go. Now we have our list of names, and they are going to be, actually that's kind of annoying to have that many lines. So let me turn this once again. Let me record one more macro. I'm going to hit the end key and the delete key, and then hit stop. And as I run this, it's going to put them all on the same line. Okay, I'm going to run to the end of the file. So now we'll just have one gigantic line, and that will be a little bit less intrusive in terms of taking up a whole bunch of lines. So there we go. We populated our last name. So now let's go to this guy. Ooh, I wonder how many last names I actually took. I'm gonna have to know that. I'm gonna undo everything I just did so I can get the number of lines. So I grabbed around 460 last names. So now I'm gonna go to the most common, I don't know, let's see, 1 to 300. Well, I'm gonna do the most common female names because this, I want to get at least 460, and I don't want to go between two screens. So I'm going to choose this one, 1 to 1000, because I see this is in a different format now. In any case, we can format that hopefully. So I will go down and grab all of those, and I can delete all these in here, paste. So you see that I've grabbed too many. I need to grab 460, so I'm going to just scroll up until I hit the 460 mark, and delete. Okay, and I'm going to do everything I just did all over again. And I'm hoping that the names won't be, there won't be any names with two names in them, if you know what I mean, like a name with a space in it. That will cause an error in my macro if there's a name with a space in it. And I mean, I'm scrolling through these really quickly to see if there's any like that, and as I'm scrolling through them, I'm not noticing any names that contain any spaces. So hopefully this macro will work. So I'm going to hit start recording, and I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to hit Control right, Shift End, delete, backspace, down, and home. Okay, and then stop. So if I run this again, it's to do the same thing and delete all of the stuff to the right of the name. Run it to the end of the file, and it didn't do this last one because I need another space, another line. So now with the line in, I can hit play, and it'll clear that one. Okie dokie. So now it's going to be the same script. I'm going to be writing in first names.add like so. So I'm going to take the first half and hit record, paste, end, down, home, stop. Run that to the end of the file. There we go. And then record one more macro, hit end and the delete key to make them all on one line. run that to the end of the file. There we go. We've got our list of first names, and there we go. So that was a bit of a pain in the butt, but we have generated now 2 different lists, each with the appropriate first and last names. So what we can do here is we will, when we say set name, what we can do is, what would be the best way to pick names? I don't know if there's a way to randomly pick a place in the array. Well, maybe there is. So maybe we can do this. Generate, we'll say set name, and we can say random equals new random, and we'll say random.nextInt 460 plus 1. So this will be our, let's see, 460 plus 1. This will be our int, index. We'll call it index. So this is going to be our index for the lists. So we'll just generate one number between 1 and 460. Actually, I shouldn't do 1 and 460. Sorry, I should do between 0 and 459 because that's how arrays and lists work. So we'll do that. And so this will generate a number between 0 and 459. And what I can do is say set name, and I will say first name dot get, first names dot get, and the index will be the index that we just generated. And we will append a space and then last names dot get, and we will put in the index. So that will choose 2 random first and last names from our list of names. Then the only other thing that we can be worried about is if we've already used that index before. God, how crazy do I want to make this program? Oh, let's see. Should I keep track of numbers that I've already used? I think that's just going to get a little bit too crazy if we do it that way. Well then, tell you what then, let's do it this way. Let's create, just to make it even less likely that it will overlap in terms of getting the same name more than once. Let's create 2 random numbers, and we'll create, we'll use them like this. So index 1 and index 2. That way we have a very, hopefully, low probability of having the same first name matched with the same last name. Okay, because now when you combine these 2 together, it's going to be 460 times 460 different iterations that we can go through. So hopefully with that we can minimize the chance of collision with names. So, okay, now we need to generate a phone number. This is going to be a little bit easier because I think what I'm just going to do here is generate, let's see, a 3-digit number. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do what's it called? Area code. Geez, I almost forgot what that was. We'll generate an area code, which will be a next int between, but it has to be a 3-digit number. So we have to make sure that we are generating, obviously, a 3-digit number. So we can do, again, it's going to be, exclusive. So we need to add at least 100 to the minimum amount, right? Because the minimum number that this will generate will be 0. So we want to have at least a 3-digit number, so we'll say 100. And then we don't ever want to go over a 3-digit number, so we can say, 899. So 899 plus 100 will give us a 3-digit number, okay? And let's do area code, and then, what's the next part called? Geez, I forget the... Whatever, we'll just call it the, second code. Why not? Whatever. And third code. That'll be the the names of the 3 parts of the phone number. Again, I'm using North American phone number, which is phone number format is 123 123 1234. So it's a 10-digit number, and that's sort of the syntax or the format that we use in North America. So, okay, but you see the third code will be 4 digits. So we need to have plus 1,000 and plus, what would that be? 8,999, I guess. Sure, why not? So there we go. That's our 3 parts of the phone number. So now what we'll say is area code plus a hyphen plus second code plus a hyphen plus third code. Okay? Beautiful. And so we set the customer name, phone number, so now we return the customer that we just instantiated and created, right? So, and before we leave, we need to make sure we add it to the list of customers because we're keeping track of existing customers. So we'll say .add customer. Okay, so now just to test this out, I want to, oh boy, now this is going to, let me just make sure that this compiles. So I'm just going to use the same code for existing as well as new. It's going to create a new customer every time, but we'll change that in a minute. I just want to make sure that the code works. So let me say for int I equals 0, I is less than, let's say, generate 1,000 different customers, and we can return the list of customers. So let's return in my customer class, I'm going to create the toString method, and I'm going to make it return the customer's first name, or rather the customer's name, plus their phone number. So how can I make it? I'll just put it in brackets, the phone number. So I'll say plus phone number, and that'll sort of be the nice syntax for our customers. So I'll say generate, or sorry, choose customer, I guess is the choose customer. We'll choose customer 1,000 times, and after we've done that 1,000 times, we will iterate through, or rather we'll say for customer in customers. So we'll do a for each loop through our customers that we just populated, and we will say system out customer, because that will actually print out the actual customer information based on the toString that we just overwrote. Okie dokie, so let's actually run this code and see what the heck happens. Hopefully there'll be no errors. I give no guarantees. Certainly there's an error. We get an index out of bounds exception inside of generate new customer. So the index was 314. Apparently that's too big. So I need to check out the sizes of the actual whatchamacallits here. So let me do a sysout and say last names dot size. So last names size is that, and first names size is plus first names dot size. Because I just want to make sure, I want to see what the actual size of each of those arrays is. Now, obviously, it's not hitting that because I'm not saying create names. Of course, stupid me. Inside of create data, I need to say create names. Stupid. My apologies. That was silly. So I need to actually create the name so it actually populates these things before we actually try to pick names out of it. So let's run that. So as you can see, the two sizes are indeed 460, so that's exactly what I wanted, so that's great. But I've hit a null pointer exception inside of generate new customers. So customers I have not instantiated yet. My apologies. I need to say equals new array list of customers like so. Run it again. Okie dokie. So now it's created a list of customers. So you see Diana Murphy, that's their phone number. Muriel Garcia, that's their phone number. Laura Rose, that's their phone number. Ella Navarro, that's their phone number. So look at this. Beautiful. So I've created a fictitious list of first and last names combined with a fictitious phone number that's just randomly generated, and that's great. We've created 1,000 of them. Cool. So that is satisfactory to me. So now we can get on with the better stuff, which will be, let's see, we've populated the constants, we've created the customers, but we haven't finished our this area. We're actually we have generated a new customer, but now we need to actually choose to use an existing customer. Okay, so here we need to choose from our list of existing customers. So how can we do this? Well, let's make use of our random number generator again. Equals new random.nextInt. But before we can do that, we need to see what the size of our customer list is. So we say customers.size. Okay, and that's the customer size. And we can say, well, first of all, if customer size is equal to 0, then we should just create a new customer. Because this is a situation where we have, this is a situation where we have no customers at all in our list yet, so obviously we need to generate one in our list. Otherwise, as long as we have at least one customer in our list, we say, return. We make sure that we return appropriately. As long as we have one customer, at least one customer in our list, then we can choose from it. So we need to know the size of our list to choose from, right? So we need to choose from either 0 to up to the size of our list. So we'll just do customer size for our random number to choose from. Customer to choose equals. And okie dokie. So what we can do now is we can say customers.get customer to choose. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Let me move this up. So we're going to look at our list of customers that already exist. We know that there's at least one customer in there. We're going to generate a number between 0 and the size of the list, which will be between 0 and, well, when the first customer is in there, between 0 and 1. But it's exclusive, so it's going to be between 0 and 0. So hopefully that we'll just choose the same customer again. And it'll go through and actually, well, hopefully do what it is that we want to do, which is either choose that customer or generate a new one. In any case, okay, so we choose a customer. What do we do once we've chosen a customer? We need to create an order for that customer. Okay, so let's do that. So we have, let's say, 1,000 customers. Let's create an order for each customer. So we'll say create order, and we'll pass in a customer. So we're creating an order for every customer, and let's create that method. And the order is going to be made up of, let's see, let's go to our notepad. So yeah, it looks like the order is just made up really of the order time. And then we have another table called customer order, which will be the unique order for every single individual customer. So that actually provides an interesting issue with our, because we're going to need to be able to associate a customer with an order. So I wonder if that's going to work properly. So the customers will be created and added to the list, and as they are created, they are given a new identifier. And okay, that might work. That might work. Okay, so I just realized something else. When we create a customer, so when we say generate new customer, and we add it to the list, we should also generate a line of whatchamacallit, SQL script. So SQL script.append, and we will say insert into customer. And let me just go to my customer table. So we have customer ID, name, and phone number. But since customer will have an auto increment for the ID, then we just need name and phone number. And then the values will be as follows. We will say customer.getName and customer.getPhoneNumber. So that will be very important to do. We'll need to insert the customers as we create them. Therefore, the IDs should match up with the indexes of the customers. Okay, so going back to where were we talking about? We're talking about creating the order. So the order and order ID and order time. So the order time, let's see, will be created when we are in this area where we're choosing an existing customer, or actually rather in all occasions we need to be creating an appropriate order. Now, sorry, I was in the wrong place. This is where we were creating the order. We were passing in our customer. So we need to create a new date. Equals new date. Although, I don't know if we can use the date class. Let me think. Let's go with a calendar object. Because I don't think you can say, with a date, I don't think you can specify... oh, you can. Well, you can specify year, month, and date, but you see it's deprecated. It's got that slash through it, the backslash, and plus it says deprecated. It's been replaced by calendar.set. So maybe this is what we should prefer to use, is the calendar object. So we'll say calendar, cal equals calendar. Remember that it's referred, it's a static creation method, so get instance. So, and then we can do cal.set, and we can do year, month, and date. You see how that works? This one is not deprecated. So we need to generate a year, month, and date. Now, I'm going to just make all of my entries are going to be in the same year. So I'm just going to hard code the year as 2014. And so the month needs to be random equals new random dot next int, and it needs to be between 1 and 12, so we'll call this the month. Now, does it need to be between 1 and 12, or does it need to be between 0 and 11? That's always something that I'm not sure about. If we say set month, the value is used to set the month calendar field. Month value is 0 based, 0 for January. Okay, that's always a curveball that they throw at me, or I should say us. It's always 0 based for the month, but not for the day of the month or for the year, which is a little bit inconsistent. But in any case, so I have some water I'm drinking along while I'm doing this because my throat was getting dry from all the talking. So we have a 0-based system for month, so that will work perfectly for our random number generator, because it will generate between the numbers 0 and 11. And for our day, well, our day is going to be tricky because obviously there are different days, different numbers of days in each month. So instead of having to go through all that nightmare of figuring out whether or not the month has, 31 days or 30 days, instead of programming that in, I'm just going to be lazy. And I'm going to say int day is equal to random. Next int 0 to, it's guaranteed that any given month will have 28 days in it. So we'll do 28 plus 1 because we want to include, we don't want it to be 0 based, we want it to be 1 based. Okay. So we've got our random date created, and we can say order. Now, do we want to create an order object? I'm not sure now, because we don't need to keep track of orders in terms of in the future. Once they're created, then that's it. They're just created and we can discard them. So it might not be beneficial to actually make this object oriented and create an object for it. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go right to creating the SQL script for it. So I'll say SQL script append, insert into order. I need to make it quotation based, string based. Insert into order the order time. That's all I really need to do, which I've defined as order underscore time. Values, and then we need to give the actual value in a specific format. So we need to say, well, actually, hold on a second. Let me do this. I can say cal.set. Okay. Ooh, wrong one. Set year, month, date. So we can say year, month, and day. Okay, so that will set the calendar appropriately. And then we can use a simple date formatter, or format. I'll call it format equals new simple date format, and you can pass in a pattern. So the pattern that MySQL requires is as follows. It needs year, four digits with a hyphen, month, and day, like so. But then it also needs hour, minute, and second. Shoot, I forgot about that. Hour, minute, and second. Oh boy, so we can do more random generations of numbers. So int hour equals random dot next int. Between hours is between 0 and 24, so we'll do it like that. Int minute equals random dot next int. Minute needs to be between 0 and 60, or rather 0 and 59. And int second needs to be the same thing, random number between 0 and 59. Cool. So we'll do it like that. And then we will need to make sure that we not only set the year, month, and day, but also the hour, minute, and second. So hour, minute, and second. Okay, so now we have ourselves a date. We can format it like so. So then all we need to do is say format and pass it a date, which is cal.getTime. Boom. So now we have a random date being generated and inserted into the order table. But I'm realizing I need to be able to keep track of that order's ID. So I do need to keep track of the order because I will then need to place it into the customer order table. So that's a bit annoying. I apologize for that. Private list, and we can call this. Oh, well, we should probably just make an order object. Bite the bullet and just create the order object. Be object oriented. Make it happen. Let's do it. So create class order. Private date order time, like so. Import the util date object and go back to here, and when we actually create our time, what we can do is we can say order equals new order, and we will say order dot set order time, which will be cal dot get time. And oh boy, let's see, then we can do format order dot get order time, and we will need to also say orders dot add the order to it. So we need to keep track of the actual list of orders appropriately. So okay, so for every new order we create, we add it to the list. That way we can keep track of the ID for that order. We format the date and put it into our script thing, and then we can do the pièce de résistance, which is the way that we associate an order with a customer. So we need to say insert into I think is it customer order or order customer? Customer order. Insert into customer order, and we will put in both values, because it's not, we don't use auto increment here, but in any case, if you don't know what I'm talking about with auto increment in databases, then you can ignore what I'm saying. But since we don't have an auto increment field here, then we can just actually insert both fields. So we need a customer ID and we need an order ID. So customer ID and order ID. So the customer ID is going to be choose, oh, I don't like the name. Let's call it just customer. I don't want to call it choose customer. Customer dot get. Oh, I see. We haven't been keeping track of the ID. So there you go. We've hit a problem already. So why don't we? Well, I guess we're gonna have to keep track of the IDs, aren't we? Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so we'll go back to customer, and this is the beauty of programming. You're always going to hit problems like this. So we need to keep track of the customer ID as well. Okie dokie. So let's go back in time and go back to the areas where we were creating the customer. God, there's a lot of work that's going into this. I hadn't realized that this is going to be this much work to create some random data. So hopefully my students inside of the Databases in SQL course will really appreciate this work, as well as you guys for, going through this and seeing how someone like myself tries to solve their problems using code. Okay, so let's do the following. When we create a customer, we also need to set the customer's ID. So we can say customer.set customer ID based on the size of the customer's list. So let's move it down here so that it always stays above, so it's not a zero-based index, because the databases don't use zero-based indexing when they're talking about IDs for their rows. So this will make sure that it's never zero-based, because we're doing it after we add, to the customers list. So customers.add, and then we know it'll be at least of size 1 the first time that this code here is hit. So customers, set customer ID, customers.size, and the size of the list will keep growing. It will never shrink because we're never going to delete customers. So that should always stay in tune with our insert statements. So cool, now we have a customer ID, and therefore we need to mimic that exact same functionality with orders. So orders, we need to keep track of the order ID as well. So private integer order ID. We will add that in with getters and setters. Go back, and we will say order.set order ID is going to be orders.size. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Cool, cool, cool. So now we can do insert into customer order values, customer ID. Let me go back and make sure that it's, customer ID and then order ID. So then we will do comma order dot get order ID. Okay, so now we've tied in the customer to the order. But what we have not yet done is create the order details, which is where we give it the pizzas that we want to actually order. So, oh boy. Now I'm realizing that we're going to need to keep track of a pizza ID as well. So, we need to have a list of pizzas. Isn't that fantastic? Okie dokie. List of pizza. Pizzas equals new array list. Pizza. And we can create a pizza object. Like so. Private integer pizza ID. Private. What else does pizza have? Pizza type and price. Pizza type will be a string. Pizza type. And private. Oh, what should we give it for the price? Oh, it needs to use some sort of a monetary. Let's just do a double and see how that works. Double is sometimes not exactly the most precise type of data storage, but we'll see how it works. Normally you'd use something like big integer or something, but yeah, we'll see how double works. Let's see. So we've got the pizza created. So now for every time we create a pizza, let's see, insert into pizza, and then we can say pizza equals new pizza. Actually, let's do this a little bit differently. Let's create a new constructor for the pizza class. So let's go back to the pizza class. Let's create a constructor just to, like I said, shake things up. And let's pass in the pizza type and the price. and set pizza type equal to pizza type and price equal to price. That way, I can, instead of doing it like this, I can say pizzas dot add, so we're adding to the list of pizzas, and then just say new pizza and pass in the values from the constructor that we just created. Okay, sorry, pizzas dot add new pizza, and the constructor was pizza type, which was buffalo chicken, like so, and the price is $12.99. Okay, so we can sort of get away with doing it like that. So let me make it generic so I can copy paste, because I love copy pasting, like so. Okie dokie. So Chipotle chicken, $11.49. Chicken bruschetta, $12.99. Chipotle steak. This is just riveting stuff here. Just riveting. The Canadian A, $12.99. Classic Super, $10.99. For those of you who care, I actually took a break in the middle of creating this video, and I did not order pizza for lunch. I actually made a black bean soup, or rather had a black bean soup. Very healthy lunch, I might add, with veggies that I used to dip into hummus. It was very, very vegetarian of me, so there you go. Saving the world one meal at a time. So there we go. We've created our scripts, which will populate the pizzas field. One thing I screwed up on was I did not include inside of the constructor the pizza ID. Duh. Integer pizza ID. This dot pizza ID equals pizza ID. That was silly of me, so now all these are going to be wrong, so I'm going to have to go and insert 1, and I'm hard coding this because I'm lazy. Okie dokie. Okay, so now we've got our pizzas. Fantastic. And we need to make sure we generate the pizzas, right? So we say create names, and we need to also generate pizzas. Whew. So what else do we have to do here? So we've created our pizzas. Now going back to this. Okay, this is where we can choose randomly what pizzas we want to have. So there's two random numbers we need to generate here. One is the size of the order, and 2 is the actual pizzas that we want to order on the actual order itself. So let's do random.nextInt, and we will do from 0 to, so this is going to be the number of pizzas. So what is the what is a reasonable pizza order size? Maybe between 1 and 4 pizzas if you're feeding a family or having a party or something. So I mean, yeah, good, close enough. So we'll say int number of pizzas equals this, and then we will say and then what we're going to do is we can say for I equals int I equals 0, I is less than num pizzas, I plus plus. So we'll do a for loop and loop through as many times as we have created pizzas. And now we will randomly select which pizza we want. So we'll say random next int, and we will choose the pizza that we want. So how many pizzas were there again? 1 through 8. So we will do 1 through 8. 8 plus 1 to make it 1 index based. And we will say that this is the pizza that we want to order. So we will say pizzas dot get, and that's the pizza. So we're actually going to get the object itself, and that will go into our order details. So the order details requires an order ID and a pizza ID. So we will say something similar to this line, insert into order details. So first we need an order ID, which we can say order.getOrderID. And then we will also say the pizza ID. So we'll say, well, this is actually what we want to do. So this will get a pizza, right? Do you see how I did that? So pizzas.get, so on and so forth. This will get one of the random pizzas from our list of pizzas. Okay, so that's what this is going to return, and then I'm able to say .get pizza ID because that's what it's returning, a pizza here. So it's valid to say .get pizza ID. So we'll just cut that and paste that right here, which is where we want it without the semicolon in our SQL script. So now when we create an order, we are going to fulfill the order ID, the time that it was created. Sorry, the order ID is here, the time it was created is here. We're going to set that into the database table. We are also going to assign it to a customer that we've passed in who is ordering, and then we will have the actual order itself. They're going to order between 1 and 4 pizzas, and for each of those pizzas is going to be a random pizza each time. So, cool. Now we've inserted into those fields, those tables. Are we done? We've populated the customer table because we've created customers. We've populated the orders table because we are creating orders. We've populated the customer order. Let me make sure. Yes, customer order table is being populated. We've definitely populated the pizzas table. That's one of the first things we did. And order details we populated as well because that's later on in here. So there we go. I think we have completed, finally, our application. So now we need to go ahead and test it out. So to test it, all we're going to do is go up here and I guess run our test class, which will kick off everything. It's going to create the names of the customers. It's going to generate the actual pizzas itself and put them into the lists. So we're going to populate the first names list, the last names list, and we're going to create and populate the pizzas list, and then we're going to create 1,000 orders. Okay, so we're going to say create order and choose a customer. So for each time that we choose a customer, it's either going to create a new one or use an existing customer and pass it into the create order, which will populate the orders list. And then at the end, I guess we don't need to output the customers anymore. What we want to output is the SQL script itself. Okay, we've appended all this stuff to the actual SQL script, so now we want to do a sysout on the SQL script, do a toString on the SQL script itself. Now I just realized when we're appending, we're not putting any line breaks in there. Ooh, I also saw that I just forgot a semicolon. So now a couple things I need to do here. I want to append to it and also put in a line break. So how do I do that? SQL script dot insert. I guess I'm gonna have to manually input a line break myself. So let me just do a \n, I believe, is usually a line break. So for every SQL script insert or append, I need to make sure I put a semicolon and a line break. Semicolon, line break. SQL script, semicolon, line break, line break, line break, line, break, break. SQL script, any other references to it here? Semicolon, line break, good. And we can get rid of the system out. And that should be that. Okie dokie. So now let's give this a run and see what the results are. All right, so sure enough, we have a null pointer exception. Hopefully this is easy to fix. SQL script append. Because I need to say new string buffer. Apologies. Method is undefined. Create method string buffer. Is that not? Oh, equals new. Oh, come on now. Equals new string buffer. Run that again. Yet another error. Index out of bounds exception for creating orders. Let's see. It does not like 8 for this. Oh, right, that makes sense because I'm pizzas is a list which is 0 based index. So I don't want to do +1. I just want to do 8, which will be between 0 and 7. Let's run that again. Oh my lord, look at this. So now we have all of the information I need to insert data into my database. Now the first thing I'm realizing as I'm going through this is it's giving me order details. Maybe it's not. Okay, I think the problem is I'm outputting it to the console, but the console it can only display a certain number of lines. So there's a couple things I can do here. I can output this to a file, which I think I should because I need to give this file to my subscribers of my Java, my database and SQL video tutorials course. So, but let me do it this way. Actually, let me try one thing first. Let me go to the console. There's got to be a properties or something. How do I maybe right click? Okay, if I right click on the console window, I can say preferences, and I can uncheck the limit console output and say okay. So I'm going to not limit the output. So now I'm going to say run again, and it should list absolutely everything into my console, which now it looks like it is, because now the first lines we see are that it's creating pizzas, which is great, and then it's creating a customer, which is great, and then it is creating an order with a time, which is just fine, and then it's inserting into the customer order table with customer ID 1, which we have created, and order ID 1, which we have just created, and then it is inserting into order details, order ID 1 with pizza IDs, which looks just fine, and then it's creating another order. Cool. Okay, so I think this might work. So let me copy all of this data, and let me go to my database program, and let me refresh my table over here so I can see that I have the appropriate tables created. So I can say select star from customer. Again, if you don't know the syntax, don't worry. So this table is empty. So now I'm just going to paste in all this data, and I'm gonna run it. So it'll probably take a little while to run all this, but what I'm looking for is any errors that occur. So I'm going to hit run. Data too long for column pizza type at row 1. Ignore error and continue execution? No. So let's line 44. Let's see. Pizza type Chipotle chicken. Apparently that's too long for the pizza type column. So pizza type column is 15 characters. So apparently that's not enough. So let me just change it to 30 characters. And let me run this entire thing again so it refreshes the tables. And we'll see, okay, you have an error in your SQL syntax. Uh-oh. Let me say no. Let me see what error there is in the syntax. Insert into order time, values. Ooh, there's no semicolon, it looks like. Or at least... is that true? Insert into order. So let's take a look and make sure that we're actually inserting semicolons. Insert into order. Looks like I'm putting in a semicolon. So what doesn't it like? Year. Can I? Yeah, copy. Let's see. Did it copy the actual script? It did not, did it? That's annoying. So, does it give me the line? It says line 52. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at this. Insert into order, and it's underlining it saying It's a bad name. It's because orders is the table name. Whoops. Okie dokie. Let's go back to our script. Insert into orders, plural. Do I make reference to that anywhere else? Order time, customer order, order details. I don't think I make reference to that table name again. It's just in that one place. Okay, so let me rerun this program. Rerun it, which will generate new insert data for me. Let me go back to my, sorry, wrong program, my actual SQL program. Let me select and delete all that and repaste in my new stuff now. So now it won't say insert into order, it'll say insert into orders. Then let me rerun this entire script. Alrighty, so now you see it's inserting, and we're about 25% of the way through, and there's no errors so far, so that's a good sign that we should probably have 0 errors by the time we finish. So I will just let this run. We're at about 50%, halfway through, and the beauty of this is that I have my database set up so that, again, if you're familiar with databases, it's doing all the foreign key constraint checks and making sure that everything is good behind the scenes. So there we go. Now we've created our table. Let me save this script now so I can give this to my my peeps, the people in the course. Let me save it to, let me put it in my Dropbox folder, and we'll put it into the databases and SQL folder, and we'll call this assignment3.sql because that's when they're going to need it. And very good. So now I can go and let me open up a new window and do some queries. So I can say select star from customers, customer or customers, customer singular. And there you go. So you can actually see it created 239 customers. So you have all that customer information, and then you can say select star from orders, and we can see all the different orders happening on different dates, and so on and so forth. So, oh, what's going on here? Cancel. Select star from orders. It had a problem? There you go. So it has 1,000 orders, which makes sense because that's what we have. Oh, I see. Do you want to read all rows? No. So we have actually successfully done it, in my opinion. I mean, I'm going to need to do a bit more work in terms of vetting all of this data and writing some my own scripts, but I don't want to do it as a part of this video because now it's going to be strictly SQL stuff, and you guys as Java programmers are not going to get much out of it. So, excellent. Hopefully that has been informative. You see, it took me well over an hour to do this, but I probably could have done it a little bit quicker if I didn't have to talk through it all. So I probably could have done it in less than an hour. So hopefully overall that would have saved me, time, to actually generate 1,000 orders. Or now I can actually generate even more than 1,000 orders, right? I can go back to my code and I can actually change this. So the for loop, I'm restricting it to 1,000 here. But I mean, I can add a 0 and make it 10,000 orders if I wanted to, right? So that's the beauty of this. For me to actually have gone through and manually created and populated each one of those tables with this text, with these, commands, these SQL commands, to do all this stuff on my own, probably would have taken me well over an hour, okay? Probably would have taken me tons of time, tons of headaches, and I would not have had fun doing it. Whereas now, I did it in about an hour time. You guys learned something from the endeavor, and I had fun. So there you go. Hopefully it was a good learning experience for you, and I guess I'll see you in the, either next podcast episode that I put out on how to program with java.com, or maybe on another one of these videos that I put out on YouTube. In any case, I wish you the very best, and happy learning, and bye for now.